Hi friends, today I will briefly talk about a data analysis project that I carried out using Python. I start my presentation with the hope that it will be useful in your studies. The subject of my work, investigation various investment tools effect on increase in purchasing power in the past 10 years. The content of my work consists of the following topics: importing libraries, loading the data, data exploration, grouping data, graphical comparison of data, conclusion and evaluations. Libraries are loaded with the import command. After the import command, the library to be loaded is written. The as command written after it helps us to specify which abbreviation to express the library we want to load. The data is loaded into the Python work as in the slide with the help of the pandas library. The data exploration section was analyzed under three headings: row column, control, data processing, and filtering. We can read the rows in our data set as seen on the slide and perform row column control. This dataset is data frame, consists of 150 rows and 6 columns. 9 rows are blank. Date column is object, float of USD Turkish liras, Euro Turkish liras, and housing columns we see that the ounce gold and level of general prices columns are integers. When we remove the 9 rows with blank data from our dataset, the descriptive statistics of our dataset consisting of 141 rows are presented in the slide. We check the type of variables with the info command. Here, when reading files, for example, numeric values can appear as strings and string values are numeric values. These types of errors may be caused by a read error while importing Excel CSV files. For this, after checking our variables, if it is not the type we want, we need to convert the variable to the type we will use in data analysis. Here, for example, ounce gold and level of general prices data appear as integers, and converting to float may be more useful in the analysis. Blank values are not desirable for data analysis. The values in the first 7 and last 2 rows of our housing variable are blank. This situation has been eliminated as shown in the slide. While doing data analysis, we may need to make new calculations between variables. We can show our calculations in a new column. For example, 1 ounce of gold corresponds to 31 grams of gold. Based on this information, let's create the information about how much 1 gram gold according to years in a new column. New columns that are needed doing work don't just have to be added to the end. We can also add them in between if we want. For example, in this study, added a column to the right of the housing column, which shows the ratio between the general level of price and housing price over the years. Excel, GSF, Excel, CSV, HTML, etc. When reading files, variable names may be different, meaningless, or confused. Therefore, renaming these variables is important for the clarity of our analysis. Some columns have been renamed as seen on the slide. If we write and call our filter variable directly, it will return true and false. For this reason, when filtering, we must first specify in which column the data we want to call is located. Then we need to write what value we want inside the eScene parameter. We can also filter a specific range. For example, let's filter for values where the general level of prices is between 175 and 180. In this section, we will interpret the data in the columns we want by grouping them according to the attributes we want. We will use the group by function for this. To use this function, the annual increase rates in the general price level column will be calculated. Then, these rates will be grouped according to the years of positive and negative increases. Here, the NumPy library is used to operate on the column data. It is seen that the general level of prices increased in the examined date range. We support this situation when we call it with the described method. After the operations we have done, the data frame we have has expanded and new columns have been added. As a result of these operations, let's see how much the types of our data are distributed as shown in that slide. Finally, I developed a function to compare the performance of 4 investment instruments for which we supplied the dataset against the general price level. While developing this function, I used the loop structure, condition, structure and matplotlib library as seen in the slide. As a result of the transactions called dollar, euro and a house in Ankara were compared as investment instruments. In this comparison, first of all, how much money the selected investment instruments saves against the general price level, then the increased graphs of all investment instruments, and finally, how much personal welfare increased by the 4 investment instruments against the general price level are visualized. For example, as seen on the slide, an investor's level of prosperity after 10 years who bought gold with 9,000 Turkish liras in January 2010 increases by 2023%. In other words, this investor can buy 2.23 times the products that he could buy 10 years ago after 10 years. I hope that my work will be beneficial for individual investments. I also consider that this work can be further strengthened using machine learning, regression, time series. Additionally, I consider that the study can be further strengthened with the number of more variables by adding the desired investment instruments. Thank you for listening to me.